Today we're going to be taking a look at 75375 Millennium Falcon. This set just released on March 1st with 921 pieces and a retail price of $85 US. This set is part of celebrating the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars, and it is also part of LEGO Star Wars' new Starship collection, which is really just mini scale. They really did kind of ruin this theme by just limiting it to starships, but I might make another video on that in the future. Now, if you've watched my other March set reviews, you know that I really like the new 25th anniversary box art. I love the metallic blue, and I'm just happy that LEGO is adding some color into their box arts again. And opening up the box, you're gonna find 11 numbered bags, as well as your instruction manual and no sticker sheet, surprisingly. On the front of the instructions, there's going to be a cool little rendering of the Millennium Falcon at this cool angle, and then in the first few pages, like the other mini scale sets, you're gonna see some information about the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars, which is a really fun read that you can pause and do so if you want. And then you're going to have this 25th anniversary art and hop straight into your building process. Now, like the other recent mini scale sets, throughout the instructions there are these little pop-up paragraphs that tell you some of the Easter eggs that are hidden inside the model, and in this one there's actually 3 separate ones. One is R2-D2, C-3PO, and Chewbacca, the other is Han Solo, Princess Leia, and C-3PO, and then the last one is Obi-Wan Kenobi training Luke Skywalker. Unfortunately, all of these do get covered up, and once the model is finished you can't access them, but it still is really cool that LEGO is hiding some Easter eggs like this inside of their builds. And speaking of the build, it looks incredible. I think this is without a doubt the best set from this March wave. Some parts of the build were actually pretty frustrating and kind of tedious at some points, but the end model definitely makes up for that. Unlike the other mini scale sets, as you can see here, the stand is at a slight angle, which is very simple but gives it such a nice look. And then, as expected, it comes with a printed plaque as well as a printed 25th anniversary brick. On the front of the model, these 4 circle tile pieces right here are actually printed. I remember when I saw the reveal pictures, I thought these were actually stickers, but no, they're printed, and that was a nice surprise. And also, just the rest of the front end is very highly detailed and has a really impressive shaping. The cockpit is also a printed piece, which looks absolutely incredible. However, there is this pretty noticeable gap right behind the cockpit, and that's actually my only complaint with this set, is just this little tiny gap right here. It does seem like LEGO did the best job to their ability to kind of cover up this gap, but it is still noticeable, and if I have a complaint with this set, it's literally just this right here. And speaking of gaps and shaping, throughout the set there are some cool little techniques to cover up what would be some big gaps. The radar dish can turn a little bit side to side and move up and down, but it's pretty much just made to stay in place. The main turret on top can also move up and down to reveal another little printed tile, although sadly it can't spin around, it can only just move up and down. The middle sections look really nice too, and on the sides here there is another printed piece to represent the docking bay. I'm probably wrong, I honestly forgot what this part of the ship is called, but there are printed pieces on either side. And then towards the back, the vents are also yet more printed pieces, which is really nice. They didn't give us printed pieces on either the Invisible Hand or the Tantive IV, but I'm happy to see them on this set. And then lastly, the back engines look really nice as well. This 2-piece right here was one of the frustrating parts of the build that I mentioned earlier, as you have to stick some Technic pins inside of it, and it is pretty hard, but the end result is really nice. And if you're wondering what the bottom of the ship looks like, it's fairly detailed as well. The bottom turret isn't included because it would be where the stand actually fits onto the set. And when you take it off the stand, the set is overall pretty bulky and just feels high quality, and it actually has some level of swooshability and is actually pretty fun to play around with. Compared to the other 2 mini scale sets released alongside of it, it's a lot more detailed and just a lot higher quality in my opinion. If you're looking to get into mini scale out of these 3 sets, I would highly recommend the Falcon. Even though it's the most expensive one at $85, I still think it's pretty much worth it. I know some people think $85 is overpriced for this set, and yeah, I think it could have maybe been $80, but I don't mind because the model just looks so good. Although I still think the Executor from last year is the best mini scale set so far, this Millennium Falcon is definitely second. I'm feeling a very solid 9.8 out of 10 for this set. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now. Today we're going to be taking a look at 75376 Tantive IV. This set will be releasing on March 1st with 654 pieces and a retail price of $80 US. And as many of you know, this set is celebrating the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars, and which is also part of LEGO's new revived line of mini scale sets, which is also now called the Starship collection, which I will forever think is pretty dumb. It's always going to be mini scale to me. On the upside though, with these 25th anniversary sets, the box art looks incredible. The metallic silverish blue that goes along the bottom of these 18 plus sets just looks very nice, and I'm very appreciative that LEGO is finally making their box art more vibrant again. And now digging into the box, you're going to find 7 numbered bags as well as your instruction manual and a sticker sheet and a few loose pieces. The front of the instruction manual actually does look really cool with this awesome head-on view of the Tantive IV, and then on the first few pages you're going to find some information about the Tantive IV in Star Wars, which is a really cool read that you can pause and look at if you want. And then there's this really awesome 25th anniversary art, and then right from that you're going to hop straight into your building process. And throughout the building process, like the invisible hand, there are these little pop-up paragraphs throughout that show some Easter eggs that are hidden in these builds. This one here is showing that these studs are supposed to represent R2-D2, Princess Leia, and C-3PO. However, unfortunately, literally in the very next step, they get completely covered up so you can't actually see them, but it's cool that there is an Easter egg hidden inside the ship. And then this next one here is showing that in the escape pod area, one side has 3 escape pods and the other side has 4, suggesting that one of the escape pods is missing because it is the one that C-3PO and R2-D2 took to Tatooine. Now moving on to the actual model itself, I have to say I'm a bit underwhelmed or disappointed, and the reason for that is because out of all of the March sets, this was actually the one that I was most looking forward to, and I don't think they did the best of job, but we will get into that. On the bright side though, the stand is very nice looking. Like all modern UCS sets and midi-scale sets, these stands are very sleek and very appealing, and as you can see here, it has a printed Tantive IV plaque as well as a printed 25th anniversary brick, and you can actually take off the grill piece and sit the 25th anniversary brick directly onto the stand if that's what you prefer, but I personally think it looks a lot better if the brick is not on the stand. The way it connects to the Tantive IV is by these 2 Technic pins, which is different from the invisible hand and the Super Star Destroyer, but I actually think I like it more. It's a lot easier to take on and off, and it holds it a lot better as I knock off a piece on the top there. And then obviously the back side of the stand is just the bottom sides of the plates and the bricks, which definitely might bother some people, but I don't really care. The very front of the ship is unfortunately way too small, and that is one of the main downsides for me. If you just Google pictures of the Tantive IV, you can see that the front area is clearly a lot bigger than what LEGO made it here, and it really just kind of throws off the overall proportions of the whole entire ship. It's definitely most noticeable when you're looking at it either directly from the side or directly from the top. But on the bright side though, there are 2 stickers on either side that add some detail if you can put them on straight, and then from there you're going to have some nice shaping to these 2 turrets that look really good. You can actually turn them and point them up and down, and I think this is really awesome because you can sort of mix up how you display it and give it sort of this action look. Same thing with the 4 turrets that are directly behind them. You can turn them and point them however you want. And then right under that you're going to find the escape pods that I mentioned earlier, where you can see that one side has 4 and the other side having 3, suggesting that C-3PO and R2-D2 took one to Tatooine. Now this middle section is another part that I think is a bit too small. I honestly think it could have been 1 stud wider on each side. I mean, it definitely doesn't look bad, and it's definitely not as big of a deal as the front area is. However, I still thought it was worth noting. Moving on to the back middle, this is unfortunately another part that I think they didn't do to the best of their ability, and that's because, well, it's just too flat. Again, if you look at actual pictures of the Tantive IV, there's definitely some height and level changes towards the back middle portion, and all of the other LEGO Tantive IVs have not had a problem with this, but on this one, it's just flat. There's no shaping or height changes at all, and honestly, to me at least, this is the biggest flaw in this build because it really does take away from the look of the Tantive IV. On the bright side though, there are some nice red pieces underneath that give it a nice look and some nice shaping, and then right underneath that you're going to have the docking bays, and they look really good, and they're just the cylinder pieces that can come on and off pretty easily. The main sensor array on top is also another pretty cool feature. It's very simple yet effective, and you can spin it around and pose it however you want to sort of maximize your display. And then the best part about this build is without a doubt the engines. They look absolutely incredible. There are 4 stickers on the top and the bottom that could be repetitive to some people, but I didn't find it very repetitive because you don't put them on back to back anyways. And in the end, despite being stickers, they still had some great detail back here. And then on both sides of the engines, you're gonna find some great greebling that is very effective and adds a lot of detail back here. And then the actual engine thrusters themselves just look absolutely awesome. I don't think LEGO could make this engine area any better. I think they got it down 100% perfectly. Really, the only huge flaw is that middle portion that I mentioned, which is too flat, and then the front portion as well being too small. I mean, I wish LEGO would have just found a way to make the front portion a bit bigger and just to make the middle portion a little bit more detailed and not so flat. So again, it definitely has its flaws in terms of accuracy, but it definitely doesn't look terrible on display. I mean, in my opinion, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again, just because because it's not accurate doesn't mean it looks bad. Yes, we obviously want stuff to be accurate, and I'm a sucker for accuracy, but it definitely does not look bad on display. Now for $80, would I recommend this to you? No, probably not. I mean, if you're collecting all the mini scale sets and you want to complete your collection, go ahead. I think this one would look good next to the Super Star Destroyer. However, if you don't have any of the mini scale sets yet and you're looking to get one, I'd say this should be your last option. I would definitely recommend the Super Star Destroyer or the Invisible Hand over this. I'm feeling a generous 8.5 for this set. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now. Today we're going to be taking a look at 75377 Invisible Hand. This set will be releasing on March 1st with 557 pieces and a retail price of $50 and it's part of LEGO's new quote-unquote Starship collection, but it's really just mini-scale, and honestly mini-scale is just a better term to use anyways. And as most of you guys know, this set is part of celebrating LEGO Star Wars' 25th anniversary, hence the 25th anniversary logo at the top of the box. And speaking of the box, one thing I gotta say is that this new 25th anniversary box art is absolutely beautiful. I love how they're finally mixing up the box art on these 18+ sets, adding this nice sort of metallic blue along the bottom and not just keeping them all black. I think it makes them stand out and it looks really appealing. And now digging into the box, on the inside you're going to find 5 numbered bags and your instruction manual. And taking a look at the instruction manual, on the inside you're going to find some really cool information about the ship and some really awesome graphics from Revenge of the Sith. And you can pause and check it out if you want. It is a pretty enjoyable read. And then right before the building process, you're going to see this really nice graphic of the LEGO Star Wars 25th anniversary logo, and then from there you can start building your set. And also at some points throughout the build, there are these paragraphs at the bottom of the pages that sort of point out Easter eggs in the ship, and this one here is actually pointing out that there is supposed to be an MTT and Anakin and Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptors in the hangar, and this was really pleasing for me to see because I'm gonna be honest, I did not know this set was even going to include a hangar when it first got revealed. I thought it was just going to be a completely solid ship with just some transparent pieces on the side to represent a hangar, but no, there's actually a whole interior, and that was really pleasing to see. Now moving on to the actual model itself, it looks really good, but it's not perfect. And the first thing I gotta point out is that the middle section, to me at least, is very overly detailed. I never thought that I'd find myself complaining that a LEGO Star Wars set is quote-unquote too detailed, but here I am. There's just so much going on in the middle section that the model is almost like visually suffering because there's so many different colored pieces here. But more on that in a little bit. The first thing I actually want to go in depth on is the stand, which looks really good. I mean, as you'd expect with an 18+ set, the stand is very sleek, and as you can see here, it does come with a little printed Invisible Hand plaque as well as a printed 25th anniversary brick. And if you want, you can actually take the 25th anniversary brick and sit it on the stand, and take the grill piece that was on the studs and sit it on the plaque, but I personally think it looks better with the 25th anniversary brick sitting next to it and not on the stand. And if you're wondering what the back side looks like, it's just the bottom side of the plates, nothing too crazy. And as you'd expect, the model is very easy to take on and off the stand and move around however you'd want. Taking a look at the front of the ship here, it does look pretty good. I think they did a pretty decent job at getting the curvature right. I wish they would have found a way to make the very front tip a little bit longer and kind of come to more of a point, but the nose of the Invisible Hand does have a pretty crazy shape, and I think LEGO did a pretty good job at replicating it in the best of their abilities. And up at the top here, you can see that little green transparent piece, and that is actually supposed to be the command bridge that Anakin and Obi-Wan fought General Grievous inside of. And yes, if you're wondering, it's just a transparent tile that is being held on by that little clip. And now moving on to the middle section, the part that I said was overly detailed. On each side, you are going to find 2 stickers, one being a separatist symbol and then a sort of like a caution symbol with black and yellow bars. And then you're just going to have all of these different colored pieces that are very distracting when you're looking at it up close. From far away, the model looks incredible, like up on a high shelf or something. It's gonna look really good on display, but when you get up close and analyze the details and try to appreciate the details, there's just a lot going on. Yes, the Invisible Hand does have very faint light and dark gray stripes throughout the middle and front section of the ship, and I really applaud LEGO for capturing that. However, there is some other pieces here that just aren't very necessary. Most obviously, those bright sand yellow pieces, I really think those should have have just been gray and maybe a few blue pieces here and there. Again, I like the stripes and I like how LEGO captured it, but just some of this other stuff is just a bit too much. And I applaud LEGO for the effort of detail, but I really think they just sort of overdid it here. On the bright side though, towards the bottom of the middle section, there are these transparent yellow pieces that are supposed to represent lights, and they add some great detail down here at the bottom and definitely give the model a good sense of scale. And those lights will continue up from the bottom towards the back middle around the ground forces command section, and again they just add some great detail under all of the bricks. And speaking of the back and front halves of the ship, yes, it can split apart into two pieces like it does in the movie. It's a very simple design, it's just held in by 4 clips, but it works really well and it's a very fun feature. And then towards the back half of the model, it definitely gets cleaned up a bit from the over detailed middle section. The curvature and shaping back here is really nice, as well as the gray and blue stripes. And then right under that, again, you're going to have that hangar bay, which just looks so awesome with these transparent pieces. The fact that you can actually see inside there and see what's supposed to be an MTT and Anakin and Obi-Wan Jedi interceptors is just really cool, and it just makes it feel more alive and more interactive. The engines on the back also look great. They're very simple, but I think LEGO did a really great job at capturing them at such a small scale, not to mention how, again, the shaping back here is just really nice. I think LEGO did a great job. And then on the bottom, there is this piece sticking out that kind of looks like the observation tower, but on the bottom side, and I have no idea what this is. I even whipped out my Star Wars Revenge of the Sith cross-section book and then flipped to this giant section about the invisible hand, and it has all of the information that you could want about this ship, except for what that bottom portion is. It's just not shown. So if any of you guys know what this is supposed to be, let me know in the comments, because I have no idea. And then moving on to the most unique part of this ship, which is the observation deck, which is actually nicknamed the Wizard's Tower, if you didn't know. It looks really great. It uses a very small amount of pieces, but LEGO did a good job at designing it, and I'm sure you've seen that in other people's reviews that the observation deck does slightly lean forward, and it does, but it's really not noticeable at all, and definitely not as big of a deal as other people have made it out to be. I mean, if you're farther away than like 10 inches from this thing, you're not going to notice it, so I think it's fine. And then the last thing I want to talk about is what's probably been on your guys' mind the whole time, and that is the scale of this thing. And yes, it is pretty small. Here it is next to a minifigure for comparison. It's pretty small, but I definitely don't think it's too small for $50. I think for $50, it's a perfect size. And here it is compared to the midi-scale Executor that came out last year, which is a $70 set, so obviously it's going to be significantly bigger. And again, I think the invisible hand is a perfect size for $50. However, I wish LEGO would have just gone ahead and made it $70 and made it a bit bigger, because if they would have done that, the middle section that is overly detailed, in my opinion, would have been able to have been fleshed out more, and the details wouldn't be so overwhelming and distracting. But I mean, other than that, I have no complaints at all about this model. I think it looks absolutely incredible, especially from far away. It's just a great display piece. It really is just that middle section, which is just ever so slightly too detailed. And like I just said, I think if this set was maybe $70, it could have been a bit bigger and the amount of details wouldn't be so distracting. And if they really wanted to keep it at $50, I think they could have left out some pieces like those yellow ones and maybe some of the blue ones towards the front as well. So because of that, I'm going to give this set a 9.5 out of 10. Every single part of this set is absolutely incredible, from the observation deck to the engines to the shaping. It's just that middle section which really throws me off. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, and if you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now. Today we're going to be taking a look at 75379 R2-D2. This set will be releasing on March 1st with 1,050 pieces and a retail price of $100. Now, as many of you guys know, this set is celebrating the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars, hence the logo on the box, and because of that, included in this set is a 25th anniversary Darth Malak minifigure, which is definitely pretty out of the blue, but hey, I'm not complaining and I don't think anyone else is either. Now, I've said this for all of the 25th anniversary sets so far, but man, the box art just looks so good, and I think without a doubt this R2-D2 has the best box art out of any of the March sets, and honestly I'm gonna go so far to say that this is probably my new favorite box art of all time. It used to be the 2012 white Darth Maul box art, but no, this one just completely overtakes that. The combination of the tan along with the metallic blue just looks so appealing, and like some of the other 25th anniversary sets, I almost didn't want to open it just because the box art looks so good, but that's what I had to do for this review. And on the inside you're going to find 12 numbered bags tags, as well as your instructions and a sticker sheet. On the front of the instructions, you're going to find a pretty decent rendering of the set, along with some nice 25th anniversary art, and then from there you're going to go straight into the building process. And then in the very back, you're going to find a cool little picture that's comparing R2-D2 in Star Wars to the actual Lego model. And speaking of R2-D2, my R2-D2 that came in this set has a very crooked head print. It's definitely not as bad as some of the other astromech head prints I've seen, but when I put it together, I was pretty annoyed. But on the bright side, he has nice printing on the front and the back, and he's going to be able to sit on the stand, which has a printed plaque that looks really nice. You can pause and read it if you want. And this is definitely a significant upgrade from the 2021 model, because that one had a sticker for the plaque, and this one is printed, and it's just a lot nicer. Next up here, we have Darth Malak, and he looks really awesome. I honestly think Lego did a perfect job. Like I said earlier, this is very out of the blue. Lego hasn't made any type of Old Republic material since 2014, and it's just really strange. But hey, maybe this means that a door has been opened for us to possibly get more Old Republic figures and sets in the future. Probably not, but hey, this figure does kind of get my hopes up. And just like the other 25th anniversary figures, he comes with a little printed plaque on a stand, and there is a 4x4 plate to where you can connect it to the stands of the other 25th anniversary minifigures. Now the model itself looks pretty incredible. On the front, there's going to be some nice detailing with some stickers, and I'm never super against stickers, especially if they're bigger ones that are easier to put on. But like you've seen others point out, the problem with these stickers not being the right shade of color compared to the actual pieces is real. As you can see in this shot, the stickers are a lighter white compared to the more creamish color of the pieces, and it definitely does stand out. I hope Lego finds a way to fix this soon. The back is more cleaned up. There's just a lot of tiled off pieces back here, and then at the bottom you're going to have two more stickers that have the same problem as the front ones. Their color is just a slight shade off from the color of the pieces, and it does really stand out. The legs, on the other hand, look incredible. There's a lot of detailing on them. I wish Lego could have tiled off some areas a bit more just to make it look a little bit more clean, but they still look really good as they are, and so do the feet. They are very nicely detailed as well, with these nice rope pieces that represent some cables, and it just looks really good. When you pick it up, they do seem a bit loose and maybe like they're not attached on all the way, but then when you sit the model down, its weight kind of just pushes down onto the feet and they're not loose anymore. Taking a look at the head, it can spin all the way around and you can pose it however you want. And then on the front, around his eye area, or his sensors I guess, is actually where my one main problem for this set lies, and that is with the black piece that is supposed to represent his eye. The whole time I've had this set, I've just been looking at this and something has just felt so off, and I've determined that it's because the black piece is just too big relative to the size of his head, and to me at least, it kind of falls in this like uncanny valley situation where it kind of makes R2-D2 look a bit lifeless and not like the fun joy that we're used to. It might just be me, but ever since I've built this set, I've just felt that the eye is just too big and it looks kind of strange. On the bright side though, on the very top of the head, there is a printed disc piece that looks incredible. I'm so happy this is printed. And then there's going to be some more minor detailing on the back. Now you might be wondering where R2-D2's third leg is and his arms, and they actually come built separately as attachments. His third leg is a pretty cool design and has a Technic pin at the top where you can just connect it to the bottom of R2-D2, and it looks really good. I actually don't mind it being an extension rather than just being inside his body and having a mechanism to slide out. His arms are sort of the same way. There are these two tile pieces that you have to pop off on either side, and then from there you can grab the arm extensions and put them on either side. Then lastly, grab his periscope and put it on the top of his head, and this is actually a really great way to display the model. It looks awesome. At first I was very skeptical of his arms and his periscope and his third leg coming as attachments, but now that I actually have the set and have it built, I don't mind it at all. I think it's pretty cool. The only slight downside is that when they're not attached, you're gonna have to keep up with them, and there shouldn't be a problem for collectors, but for kids that are planning on playing with this set, this probably will be a problem. I'd imagine that most kids would probably lose these, but despite that, I think it's really cool, and it's a pretty nice feature to make him look really awesome on display. Now, the last thing I want to mention is the price, and that is that I feel like this set is a little bit small for $100. Here it is compared to the $200 Chewbacca from last year, and they actually look really good together. They're relatively actually to scale with one another, and it just looks really awesome on display, but that's beside the point. This Chewbacca has about 2,300 pieces and retails for $200, and this R2-D2 has right at 1,000 and retails for $100, and since the Chewbacca can get an extra 300 pieces and still be $200, I think since this is right at 1,000 and most of the pieces being small, it could have been maybe 90 or even 85, but it's not that big of a deal because I'm sure it'll be easy to find on sale, and even for $100, I think this would be worth it for some people because it's a super fun build and it's really fun to display. And the inclusion of the 25th anniversary Darth Malak is just so awesome, even though it's out of the the blue. It's really cool, and I know a lot of people are going to love this figure. So I'm feeling a pretty solid 9.5 out of 10 on this set. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now. Today we're going to be taking a look at 75387 boarding the Tantive IV. And yes, it's pronounced Tantive, not Tantive E. I have no idea who came up with that, but that's just stupid. Anyways, this set will be releasing on March 1st with 502 pieces and a retail price of $55. And as some of you might know, this set is part of celebrating the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars, hence the logo on the box. And because of that, it is including an exclusive 25th anniversary 5s figure. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, but man, the box art on these 25th anniversary sets just looks absolutely incredible. I'm so happy that for as of now at least, LEGO is sort of starting to stray away from the over minimalistic box arts that we had from like 2022 to 2023, and once again giving us very fun and vibrant box art. It's so good that I almost don't even want to open it, but that's what I gotta do for this review. And digging into it, you're going to find 5 separate bags as well as your instruction manual, and Darth Vader and 5s are both in the last bag, which ironically happens to be bag number 5. Taking a look at the instructions, on the first few pages, you're just going to have some random LEGO advertising, and then you're going to hop straight into the building process. And then on the very last pages, you're going to find a picture showing off that if you buy 2 of these sets, you can connect them and make a longer hallway, and then some cool advertising for the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars. Moving on to the minifigures, first up here we have the Rebel Fleet Troopers, and these guys look great, and their design is really simple but without flaw. A lot of people said they should have had dual molded legs, and I definitely think they would have benefited from dual molded legs. However, the absence of them really does not bother me one bit. I always love Rebel Fleet Troopers, but there kind of is a bias there because the 2008 Rebel Battle Pack was my first ever LEGO Star Wars set. And also they both have double-sided faces, with the second face being an angry face. Next up here we have Captain Antilles, and just like the Rebel Fleet Troopers, he looks very good as well. Again, like others have said, he could have benefited from dual molded legs, but it doesn't bother me. I think this is a great figure, and he as well has a double-sided face. And then next up here we have the Stormtroopers, and yes, they're still using the oversized dual molded helmets. It's been years now and LEGO is still using these, and they still look awful, and there's really not even an excuse for it. Usually for things of this manner, LEGO has excuses or explanations about why they do it, but there's no explanation for this helmet. It just looks bad and they keep on using it. But on the upside, every other part of these figures looks great, the printing is incredible, and you do get 2 of them in this set, both with different head prints. And then next up here we have Darth Vader, and this is the same Darth Vader that LEGO has been using for a few years now, and he looks great. He's got detail all over, and he's got really good arm printing, and he has very nice head prints on both the front and the back. And then lastly, we have the figure that you guys have all been waiting to see, which is our Trooper 5s, and right off the bat, I have to say he actually looks pretty good. Yes, his helmet print is far from accurate, and I'm definitely a sucker for accuracy. However, it's still symmetrical and it doesn't look sloppy like some of the other recent clone troopers, and then the rest of his printing looks incredible as well. His arm printing is great, and his torso printing is great, and then very surprisingly, his printed comma doesn't look bad at all. I think obviously the reason is because his comma has a different shape and it sort of goes in like a triangle towards the middle, and as a print it definitely does not represent a comma like it should, and it definitely should be a physical one. However, it definitely doesn't look as bad as some of the others like Captain Rex or Commander Fox. And then around back he's gonna have a custom brick built backpack with printing underneath that as well, and then underneath this helmet you're gonna find a basically near perfect printed face. It looks absolutely incredible. Now everything I've said about this figure has been pretty good so far, but that definitely doesn't mean that it's without flaw, because there's one really bad thing about him, and that is his pauldron. It looks absolutely terrible. It just sticks straight out on both sides and makes him look like he has wings on its neck or something, and I've seen other people say that you have to sort of fold it down yourself, and that just doesn't work. It just flops right back up and is just still straight, and it just looks flat out bad. I think LEGO should have used a custom plastic one, but other than that, I think the rest of this figure looks good. Yes, I wish he would have had a physical waist cape and accurate helmet printing, but he doesn't look bad. The only thing that looks bad on him is his pauldron, and he does come with this little 25th anniversary stand that has this nice print on it, and also included is a black 2x4 plate so you can connect it to the other 25th anniversary figure stands, similar to what they did in 2019 with the 20th anniversary figures. And overall, I think this minifigure lineup is perfect for this set. Really, the only bad figures in this set are those stormtroopers, not even the stormtroopers, literally just their helmets, and then obviously 5's pauldron, but all the other minifigures are great. product, and getting 7 minifigures in a $50 set is just unheard of nowadays. Now moving on to the actual hallway build, it looks really nice. There's lots of studs, so you can really place the figures in any way you want on here, but there's also an even balance between studs and tile, and it looks really good. On the sides here, there are these 4 levers that when you turn, a little tile pops up from the floor, and you can place your fleet troopers and your stormtroopers to where they are sitting on these tiles, and then turn the levers to make them pop off, and it's really fun to do. This is a great play feature. You can really actually act out the fight to where when one of them gets hit, they fly off the floor, and even as a collector that mainly displays my sets, I still think this is very fun to play with. The door at the end of the hallway is printed, and when you open it, there are some red transparent pieces that sort of suggest that it had been blasted open, and the way it works is that on the back side, there is this little lever you can turn, and the whole door just slides over, and this mechanism actually goes basically all the way down the whole entire hallway on the back side, and there is another lever at the end that you can also use to open it, but every time I've tried, it just ends up getting caught, so I use the one that's closest to the door. But no matter which lever you use, it is really fun to play with. This is such a cool feature, and the fact that they actually included some red transparent pieces to make it look like it had been blasted open is just so cool. Right above the door, there is a little sticker on a 1x2 tile, and then from there, the rest of the hallway is incredibly detailed. There are a few stickers throughout that definitely give it a good look, and I'm not opposed to stickers, but the ones on those cheese slopes are pretty hard to put on, and I wish they would have just been printed to save the hassle of putting them on, but they still look good on the final result. And then at the very end, you're going to have another doorway, which has nothing on the other side, but it still looks good. And as you saw earlier, there's nothing to see on the backside besides the door opening mechanism. On the top here, there are some gray plates, which look fine, but like others, I wish they would have been tiled off with white tiles. At first, they're not very noticeable at all, but after a while, they do get kind of distracting. The set does include some extra pins that you can put on the end here, to where if you bought 2 of these, you could connect them and make one long hallway, just like the picture from the instructions, and I think that's a great feature if you end up buying 2 of these. Now, I do have one main complaint about this build, and that is that the actual floor space is pretty narrow compared to the wall at the end, which kind of just sticks out awkwardly, leaving this pretty large space between the edge of the floor and the end of the wall, which again just kind of looks awkward. I know they had to make the wall pretty long so the door mechanism would have enough room to work, so as a compromise for that, I wish they would have made the floor maybe like 1 or 2 studs wider, just to shorten how far the wall in the end sticks out. They also could have maybe extended it with some white pieces to just suggest that there's supposed to be a wall on the other side that also curves upwards. I think either solution would have worked, but in the final product, the floor is pretty narrow compared to how wide the end wall is, and to me personally, it's just kind of awkward looking. Now, the last play feature with this set, and arguably the best play feature, is with this little transparent cylinder piece that you can actually use to make Captain Antilles look like he's being force choked by Darth Vader, and it looks absolutely awesome how you can perfectly recreate this scene in Lego form. And overall, I think this set is incredible. The only downside is the floor space being a little bit too narrow, and then obviously the Stormtrooper helmets, but other than that, it's awesome. The door mechanism is really fun to play with, and the walls are very, very detailed, and it just makes for a really, really awesome display piece and a really fun playset. And the fact that you get 5s included on top of everything else is just a really nice bonus. Even though his pauldron looks terrible, the rest of him is pretty good, and it's just cool to get an extra figure. And would I recommend this set to you guys? Absolutely. I think it's a great deal for $55, especially getting 7 minifigures, and for all of the people in my comments that keep on saying we need more Rebels and Stormtroopers, this is the set for you. So because of that, I'm going to give this set a 9.3 out of 10. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, and if you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the screen right now.